In this video, I want to give you some tips for getting rid of clutter. Now, clutter slows you down because time spent hunting for an item, well, it's time wasted. And a tidy environment leads to a tidy mind. And this was brought home to me when I had my first office job. My boss used to make sure that everything was stacked neatly. You weren't allowed to have papers strewn all over the place. You had to stack them neatly. You had to put something back in the filing cabinet as soon as you'd finished using it. And you had to make sure that your desk was tidy before you went home, that all your pens and pencils were all stacked away and that everything was put away in drawers and so on. And she used to say, tidy desk, tidy mind. And I suppose she had a point. And the first step that you can take to getting rid of clutter is to get proper storage, a proper place to keep everything where you can put it back when you finish using it and you're going to know where it is and other people are going to know where it is. I suppose the simplest type of storage is actually shelving. Shelves don't cost a lot of money to buy. You can put them up quite easily. You can get shelving units that are freestanding if you're in rented accommodation or rented office or rented home and the landlord doesn't want you drilling holes in the wall. You can buy self-assembly shelf units. They come flat packed and you can simply put them up in an afternoon. And they're not really all that difficult. And once you've got things on shelves, then it's very easy to find where they are because you can just see where they are by looking. So instead of having to sort through a pile of books to find a particular one, for example, you can simply look where it is on the shelf. And of course, you can do like the people who own these shelves have done, which is label up the shelves alphabetically so you can find a particular item, a particular book in this case. And that's the easiest way of getting everything organized and storing things, is simply get them on shelves, get them off the floor and out of a pile and actually up onto the wall where it's very easy to find. Another thing that you can have is proper filing. You can have a filing cabinet, and that can contain suspension files, or particularly if you're working from home, because, let's face it, a filing cabinet doesn't particularly go with home decor. You could have lever arch files or box files that you can put on your shelf, and you can label them up, you can color code them, you can do all sorts of things with them, and you can make them very easy to find what it is that you're looking for, so you don't have to go hunting for it. So again, you don't have a pile of papers, you can just simply file them away in your files, and then you can refer to them as and when necessary. And you should devise a filing system that works for you. I mean, there is no set way that's the best. It's whichever works for you is the best system that you can have. Now, you can file things alphabetically. I suppose that's the most straightforward method of filing something. You can file it by the name of the author if it's a book, by the name of the person who's written the article if it's an article, by the name of the employee, whichever. Just work out your own system, whichever works for you, like I said. Or you can file things by date, and this is often how things get filed in filing cabinets, and you can have it either as the most recent item towards the front of the filing cabinet drawer, and as things age they get pushed towards the back, or you can do it the other way around. You can make sure that you have the oldest at the front and new stuff goes in at the back, but either method is just as good if it works for you. You can file things by client. You could perhaps have a different color file folder for each different client, so you can see exactly which client's work you're working on just by simply pulling the different colored file box off the shelf. Or you can file things by job, and if you give a job number, then quite often that can tie in with your accounts software, so you can cross-reference. Or you can file things by location. So, for example, if you're a landscape gardener and you work on different people's gardens, then you might want to file things by city or by street or by neighborhood. But whichever system you devise and whichever system you decide to use, you must stick to it. Don't decide, yes, I'm going to file everything away now, and you file it all away, and then you go back to your old habits of just simply chucking everything into a pile, because that's going to become clutter before you know it, and then the whole object of the exercise is lost. So to get around that and to stop that from happening, you want to establish a filing routine. So a good thing to do is to file papers as soon as you've finished using them, just like my old boss used to make me do. As soon as you finished looking at something, it went back in the file. You should also file bills in a folder when they arrive, and then you can transfer them to another file after they've been paid. So you can tell immediately which bills have been paid and when, and you can also see which bills need to be paid. And when you take something from a file, you must remember to put it back. Otherwise, as I was just saying, it defeats the whole object of it. If you take something out of the file and then just simply stick it in a pile on the side of your desk, well, then there's not a lot of point in having a filing system, is there? You do have to stick with it. Something else is you want to get rid of stuff that you don't use anymore. So that old laptop that you took out of service when you got your new laptop, and you thought, well, I'll keep it as a backup machine, and who knows, I might get round to converting it to run on Linux, and then that'll give me something else to do when I'm not very busy. Well, let's face it, it's still there, isn't it, at the bottom of the pile of newspapers and magazines in the corner of your office. So you're never going to use it, and if your current laptop breaks, well, you're probably going to buy a new one now anyway, so chuck it out and free up the space and get rid of the clutter. And as a general rule, if you haven't used it for a couple of years, chances are you're never going to use it again, whatever it is, so chuck it out. And when you throw the stuff out, when you clear the decks, when you get it all filed away, all of a sudden you'll find the clutter has gone.